This is usually one of my very, very favorite times of the week, talking about stock and investing for new investors. Take this opportunity and welcome everybody to the Independent Investor Channel live stream. I don't think I could have said it any better than my friend, the Inked Investor. Certainly want to check him out. Awesome new channel, doing a great job. Want to take the opportunity to welcome each and everybody to the channel. Each and everybody is doing their own projects. Absolutely had a phenomenal time last time. Financial awareness. Kyle was great, man. That was great to get to talk to you. I run this live stream pretty dynamic. So that's kind of how investing is. That's kind of how we provide this opportunity. And that's just how we roll it out. So want to thank those folks. We've got obviously some interesting stuff lined up both tonight and tomorrow. We'll be diving into the real estate topic tomorrow. You guys probably saw, if you're subscribed to the channel, we've queued that up for tomorrow with my good friend Dave Oldenburg, who's been kind enough to come on. We'll be talking real estate and just a different avenue for those investing minds out there, guys. You want to succeed in this life, surround yourself with successful people. Okay. It's just that simple. And I'm not going to sit here and self-dub myself successful, but I do know a few things, and I'm really having some incredible validation over the last couple weeks, man. I've really been touched. The channel is growing quite nicely. The social media platforms that we roll out through the Independent Investor Channel, I could not be prouder. The podcast is allowing me to really pursue some artistic capability, that of which I can't have on YouTube. This is a treat for me to come on and rap with you kind folks every week. It's an absolute pleasure for me. We open up the airwaves to what is now 60 minutes of financial fury. That is what I give. This is unscripted and unedited, and I think a lot of people appreciate that about me. I absolutely come on and kind of give my pulse about where things have gone. Certainly a seesaw ride today in the market. It was up and then it was down. It was up and then it was down again, and unfortunately it finished down. But want to definitely come on and for 60 minutes, I think it's 60 minutes well invested in you guys. Okay. And I think if you give a little, you'll get a lot. I really do. You've got folks out there that are really trying to reach the masses, and I'm just trying to do my small part. Minds in Motion is always doing that. It's great to see you kick in here tonight. Very, very cool. You're usually very, very busy with your time, but thank you so much for coming on and saying hello on the channel. Obviously, some other channel creators. The normal crowd is in here. I miss Dave with Hidden Freedom Investing. He's almost just about as omnipresent as Gen X Dividend Investor. These guys are all over the place on social media. I could hardly hope to keep up with them, but hopefully they're kicking over rocks and churning up discussion online, especially, and hopefully by churning up some of that dust, we're fostering some of the discussion that needs to be had. I don't shy away from the investing topic by any means. I think people need to be more open with this topic. I think people need to be more transparent with the options that are out there for both existing investors and new investors alike. And we've got definitely a great mix of channel creators that are throwing down here in the group to try to reach your respective audiences. And I can't thank you enough. I just think that together will be extremely powerful, because there's a lot of people out there that need us. There's a lot of people. And that validation that I spoke of over the last couple weeks really hit home for me. Try not to get too much into specifics, but when you have the ability to change a life, and what I mean by that, and I've always contended on the Independent Investor Channel, when I say that I want to empower one investor at a time, I mean that. And empowerment comes from within. It comes from within the person that is maybe thinking about something, or thinking about initiating a program that they hadn't thought of before. And perhaps maybe for the first time in their life, perhaps maybe they're looking on the horizon and they feel what hope feels like. And it's extremely powerful. It's extremely emotional for a lot of people, because I think, unfortunately, we sometimes get caught in a rut. And I think life does a very good job of getting us caught up in the day-to-day mundane. And it doesn't take a whole lot of time for us to get psychologically conditioned to those habit-forming behaviors. And I put out the podcast this week. I thought I nailed it. It was called Wallet Test. And I've done this analogy for the core group of subscribers to the Independent Investor channel. But that really looks to drive home the point and really helps people look into the mirror and ask themselves what they really want out of investing. And I hope there's people in this group that aren't invested. I really hope there is. I hope there's people who make their way to my community and they're like, you know what? I'm just going to spend a few minutes to listen to this guy. Somebody told him to come on and check this guy out because he's real passionate about investing. But don't invest because I'm passionate about it. All right. Invest because you're looking to make this thing make sense for you. That's the whole idea. There is no perfect investor out there. There is no perfect stock. There is no perfect stock market. All right. But if you put the right strategy in place for you, a strategy that makes sense for you, there's going to be a lot of people. Channel creators know this. If they come on and they're really providing a unique testimonial to the audience and they're telling people, hey, I understand this isn't a perfect portfolio. I understand there's red in the portfolio right now. I get it. But if you stand with me, all right, I'll go to battle for you as long as you need to validate the power of the stock market, because I contend that if it were that scary of a place that a lot of new investors contend that it is, or it's established to not generate wealth for people, people wouldn't be that interested in finding their way to the stock market, nor would I be able to generate a little bit of churn on this topic. And it's good on me for trying to break down some barriers surrounding this topic, because me, for one, I really don't understand why it's such a faux pas topic. And I've really been on a wave the last couple of weeks, man. I've had the opportunity to pulse in with some people directly. And if you catch just a tidbit of the passion through the live stream or some of the uploads that I make to YouTube, or maybe you catch the passion through the podcast that we're rolling out to folks on a weekly basis, sometimes more frequently, then that's fabulous. But for the few people that have reached out to me directly and said, hey, Ryan, how about that Zoom thing? That's incredible, man. I'm humbled at the opportunity, and I think people are probably just as scared. I mean, freaking A, I had somebody reach out to me tonight and was like, Ryan, you're a celebrity. I'm not. I'm just a regular fella. And that's probably why people can kind of sit across and relate. That would be a criteria of mine if I was catching a YouTube creator's content. I'm like, is this guy for real? It's a fair question. I'll let you answer that on your own. Okay? But no, I'm not. But I do put that opportunity out there for the Zoom meeting, because I just think it takes that cherry on top. Hulain, thank you. I really appreciate that. I would break my chain of thought and give you a wrench right now and make you an admin for that. But thank you so much. I really appreciate the support. But it's amazing. I've been asked 3 times now, why do you do it? Why, Ryan? Why do you do it? And my first response is because I can. The second response I usually give is because nobody else does it. And I get this, you're right, man. So many people out there are just out for themselves. Nobody really seems to want to help people. And, it's amazing to me I never would have had visions 3 years ago when starting the Independent Investor channel to have this much opportunity to reach this many people. And if it just so happens to be 2 or 3 people a week, I'm all about it. I'm set up for Sunday and Monday coming up, and we'll continue to rack those. And I rack them just like an appointment, guys. I'm freaking intense about this deal. We can get down into the dirty, and you think you can accomplish a lot on a 60-minute live stream? Try going one-on-one with me, man. I think most people would attest, at least I would hope, that they would look back on that experience as being kind of a fork in the road, and that's all right. It's incredible to be able to sit across from me and be able to identify those potential impasses in your life, because it's really revolutionary for me when I sit across and I see the emotional light bulb go off, and it's like, dang, man, maybe I can work on this avenue a little bit. Maybe I have been deficient in my spending. Maybe I have been naive in my saving habits. Maybe I could do a little bit more. Maybe I could draw back a little bit on some of my habits that I've had, and I think once you can come to that realization, I think you'll be a lot better for it. And, I'm just one voice. Celebrity? No, not on YouTube. Some of the things that I do in this life, you guys who have known me for a long time, that I am absolutely successful at, have everything to do with my personal life and really very little to nothing to do with the stock market. With that said, I'm pretty good at sitting down and trying to bridge that gap between what I feel like a lot of people come onto YouTube and they just want to be provided that yellow brick road, man. They just want to be provided all the answers. They want to be provided that shortcut. Take it from me. There is no next best thing, and there is no shortcut. There is none. If you think you can shortcut yourself in this gig, you're going to have a rude awakening someday. You really will. And just that's advice that I don't mind putting through the airwaves, because half of the people will tune in. Then they'll be like, you know what? This guy's freaking off his rocker, man. I've got this thing licked. I'm on fire. I'm good to go. But then when you do trip and fall off that cliff, those will be the last people that come back and say, Ryan, you were right. All right. So I'm going to say it now and just say this whole idea about asking yourself what the hell you want out of investing is super, super important. Why are you investing? Why are you interested in putting capital to risk? Okay. Investing involves risk. Why are you asking that capital? Why are you subjecting it to risk? What are your long-term goals? What is the strategy that you're going to put in place from now until then? What type of risk are you going to accept by initiating a strategic plan now for the future? What is it that you can put in place and live with? What I mean by that is, are you going to initiate a plan on Monday only to second guess yourself on Wednesday? Or are you going to be able to initiate this plan because it's solid and you're going to be able to sleep easy at night? So with that, guys, I really want to engage with the audience tonight. Couple shout outs tonight to a couple subscribers, and I hope they don't mind me using their first name, but I'm going to because they're part of the family. Theron, number one, man, shout out to you. I cannot wait to speak with you. I can't wait. When I have those queued up, you'd be amazed at how much thought and deliberation I kind of go through before it. Like when I'm out doing my exercise and I'm able to think clearly, I get a little bit of game plan. That's why the fuel that you gave me tonight was so important when I got to put a face with the name. So thank you so much. And freaking Victor. Yeah, man. This is amazing how much fuel you can get to, and you can find out how impactful this message is when you talk to a guy who's not from this country, right? And here supporting an immediate and an extended family, and has the courage to reach out and say, can you help me? Can you help me? I was moved, man. I was really moved. So shout out tonight to Victor for sure. Those are the only two shout outs tonight. I wanted to make sure and get Dave under the envelope anyway, because I missed him last week and I felt pretty bad about it. But, Jason's in the group here as well. He doesn't need any help anymore from me. But I do appreciate him having the Independent Investor channel, Chugga that could on Wednesday. That was fun, man. He threw down and I went on. It was a good discussion, actually, and I appreciate that. Just another opportunity, quite frankly, to talk about my favorite subject. But I've also got Ryan Giffen in the group here. Shout out to Ryan. Hope everything is well. Hope you're enjoying that sunshine down there. You're one of the lucky folks that live in a place where people go to vacation. So lucky bummer. So just appreciate you guys. I'm going to throw my first comment up here, or second actually. Hearts, usually all good, usually follows up with her comments with a bunch of hearts. You guys know that, and that's pretty much indicative of where she's coming from most of the time. That's all I'll say about that. I don't want to embarrass her, but she's probably sitting back having a cup of joe or some tea right now. Hope you guys are doing the same. Hope the stock market isn't jockeying you a little bit. I do foresee some volatility to persist in this market. I think the market is confused. It doesn't really know where to go. That's why you get the swoons the way that we have. It's drifted back over the last 3 days. My portfolio is really set, so I don't have a whole lot of maneuvers to come on and throw your guys' way. If I am maneuvering and jockeying around, you guys will know that. But I was able to leverage the 25,000 that we were able to generate and really establish that portfolio in the taxable account. Added some new names for y'all's benefit. The 3 stock picks that I offered, I did add those. I did add 100 shares of MetLife. So just to kind of throw that out, I don't know if you guys were aware that I did go ahead and enter into a 10-share block of Vago, which is Broadcom, and very, very happy to do that. It's a stock that I've been looking at for a long, long time, and very, very happy to finally own Broadcom. IBM, I did buy. I basically doubled the position, so another 24, 25 position. I think I've got 52 and change there in IBM now. And then the final stock pick as well. I also bought that as well. That was Medtronic, ticker symbol MDT. So not quite the greatest buy. I thought IBM valuation, MetLife was certainly a screaming buy. I've had a few folks hit me up and get my thoughts on Prudential. Prudential was the one insurer that I had owned before I had taken a harder look on this dip at Travelers. And Travelers, for the perspective going forward, is extremely, it's going to be rewarding. So that won't be a stock that I'm getting out of. I did trade around a core quickly down into the 100 base. But we're established now in Travelers at 25 shares. So I am satisfied with that. But Aflac, ticker symbol AFLC, definitely was one that I was also looking at for valuation. I knew insurers was going to be an interesting. I threw those picks to Gen X about a month, 5 weeks ago or something, and he ran it through with his lens as well, and I appreciate that. But they didn't stay low for very long. Those were some very, very recessed, oversold conditions. I definitely think they had an overhang, but I think MetLife, when I bought it, guys, was trading at 4 times forward. So very, very interesting, very bullish on the street. Everything I saw was good. Payout ratio was good. Dividend yield 4% to boot. So I was satisfied with going ahead and launching that 100-share position. But that's about it. Really, the whole theme of the portfolio now, guys, just to give you kind of an overarching perspective, I'm not doing a whole lot right here. I think we've run very, very far, very, very quickly. I think that the best remedy for the market now is going to be time. For new investors, what I just said doesn't mean a squat. Okay. It's never been a better time to put some capital to risk, especially if you don't have any capital to risk. But putting large chunks of capital right here to work, I was recommending that 2 months ago. I don't know if I would recommend it here. I would go ahead and scale back to a defensive posturing up. Keep your dollar cost averaging schedules going. Enjoy the diversification that you've got. If you've entered into some positions on this dip, congratulations. I see some portfolios out there. Matt Money is the one that comes to mind. I think Kyle as well. Those are a couple that I've seen really swell. And I think I would hope you guys would say the same about mine. I'll just tell you it has. It's been good. Okay. No complaints. Going through volatile times like we did, I really wouldn't have chosen to do it that route. If it were me, I would just assume have a nice steady market, some years up a little bit and some years down a little bit, as a lot of my strategy now is conducive to that type of investing. Right now, the volatility is such where it's attracting a lot of new genre of investing. And if you want to know my 2 cents, I think it's changing the stock market, and I think it's changing it for good. I don't know. I don't know if it's for the good. We'll see. The verdict is still out as far as that is concerned. I think passive long-term investors are probably going to have to abide by their principles even more than they did, especially being an investor in the early 2000s, the late 1990s. These swings of volatility, it just seems like we can't go through a day without having a swing of a few hundred points. It's just, 300 or 400 points. That's a normal day. And I do remember, and I know Kyle, who was a financial planner, he can attest to this. He's a student of the market who's covered the market. He would agree with me as well. These are unprecedented times now, and we certainly want to make sure that we're providing the proper armament for the new investors that are coming in and getting involved, because I've said many times, and I hope you don't mind the analogy, but it is a war zone, okay? The stock market can be very rewarding. It can be extremely humbling. I've said this many, many times. I will continue to say it because it needs to be said, and people need to hear it. It's just that simple, all right? So if you're excited about investing, lovely. We can foster some of that and channel some of that excitement into good, okay? But don't get overzealous. Don't get crazy on us in the market. All right. Slow, deliberate, put something in place that makes sense for you and will make it work long term. That's it. That's the only thing that's ever worked in the market. Anything else is secondary to that type of strategy and approach to the market, guys. If you're interested in kicking into this, we are on StreamYard. Obviously, the thumbnail didn't provide that transparency. But if there is anybody in the group who's interested in kicking on with me, I know I had Tim Tellers who was hitting me up this week telling me. So if he's on there, and that was your call to action right there, man, why don't you come on and rap with a celebrity for a while? I'm just kidding. You can come on and rap with Ryan for a while. I just laughed. I thought that was funny, man. I was like, that's ridiculous, but that's all right. I don't get called a celebrity every day. As a matter of fact, you'd be amazed at what I'm called every day. Very good stuff. But I do want to cruise up here and acknowledge some of these folks. Like I mentioned, I'm super, super pumped about tomorrow because we're going to open up the live stream and we're probably going to go for an extended amount of time. Tomorrow is a give back. I'm not doing it to earn revenue. If you want to know the truth, I don't own a whole hell of a lot of revenue from doing this on Friday. It is actually helping to support the channel. These 60-minute live streams, I've seen an obvious difference in the 60-minute live stream. So I thank you guys for allowing me to flex back. I know the larger that you get as a channel, the harder it is to make those strategic shifts. But I can guarantee it's helping me. And the verdict is out. I don't get to see the analytics for Matt and Kyle, but I'm quite certain that it's probably helping them out as well. I think it's a little more optimal time, and you get a little more variety. It's like the Friday variety show starting at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. for these 60 minutes of insight from me. I've got Ethos Investing here in the group, man. It's great to see you. Very cool. I just want to show you guys a look for the thumbnail. It'll look something like that. But I'm really looking forward to this. You know, me and David come from a couple different schools of thought. I've been a landlord before, and I've been a homeowner before. But, you know, David's a professional in the industry, over 3 decades of experience. Me personally, I love to surround myself with successful people. And Dave is one of those that I consider just that. So would I have ever had the opportunity to run into a guy like a David Oldenburg at Vaughn's out in California? I don't know. Probably not. He probably likes avocados just like I do. But thank you to YouTube for bringing this opportunity to bring us together, to offer this delivery, and also to provide the opportunity to the subscribers to the message. I don't know what else to say, guys. If we can't extract value from an opportunity like this, then perhaps maybe this isn't the forum for you, because I do the very best I can in my entertainment of you. However, that is not my primary motive. All right. My primary motive is to get you from point A to point Z as quickly as we can. And we all have limited time on this earth. So let's get cranking. All right. Let me cruise up here. I want to cover the thread if I can. GW Life, fantastic, man. I think I saw the 1,000 subscriber mark. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised a bit. Get used to success. That's just the way it's going to be. All right. We need to eat success in this community like it's a freaking buffet. I hear they're shutting down some of the Golden Corrals out there and some of the buffet lines as we are getting used to a new normal. So I would encourage each and every one of you guys to come on and enjoy the buffet of success here free of charge. It's not even $11.99. You can come on and consume it at your leisure. By all means, pour yourself a drink. All right. Drink of choice tonight is chai tea. It's typically my go-to when I have an absolutely enormous amount of information to pass during my 60 minutes. Okay. So that was a 30-minute rant straight. I hope you appreciate it. Very fantastic, man. So I think I did drop the link in there, guys. I will drop another one as well. I don't feel obligated, but I do want to make sure that I'm providing that opportunity. If somebody's sitting there going, man, he's not sharing the link. What a crazy guy. There it is. I just dropped it in there, man. It's there. They got, well, you're Captain Ryan, not just regular. That's fine. If you only knew the truth, man, I laugh every time I hear that. Captain, that's kind of funny. All right, we got Raga Muffin. Made a $15 profit this week using your aggressive portfolio with only 200 in my account. That's really that's a killer comment, and that is, it tells me that you've kind of got the strategic initiative, right? You understand that a $2 drop in that 12 is going to spread it out pretty thin, but you're an investor. Okay. You're seeking exposure using the power of M1 Finance. I saw some of the other majors. I think Charles Schwab, if I'm not mistaken. And I think some of the other majors, I think JMac, if he drops it in the thread, the Fidelity as well, maybe moving to more of a pie structure. So the word's out a little bit, but M1 Finance will get it done. I enjoy the platform as well. I think I'm up about $1,700 in that account, so you can kind of see the scale of, being able to take a $5,000 initial investment, which is what I started with in that account, put it in there, spread it across those 12s. Whereas, $2,500, $2,600 now is going to buy you one share of Amazon. That's half your portfolio, right? But to be able to take that 5 and spread it out through that pie, I think is extremely, extremely powerful. Congratulations. Guys, it's funny because that $15, that means more to me than you probably think, because I've been through that minutia as a beginning investor and being hungry to see those renderings in there, going through upswings in the market, only to look at my statement and discover that it had underperformed the market due to fees. Why do you think I come out and share this message? So those success stories, as relative as they might be, are golden. They're golden to come in and share in this community, because again, remember, success buffet, man. Come and consume at your leisure. All right. It comes in a lot of different flavors and a lot of different forms. All right. I can tell you're passionate about investing and helping folks. It's one of those things that it's looked at and it's very confusing, and a lot of people don't know where to start. I think a lot of people probably understand a lot more about themselves than they give themselves credit for. In other words, if you've got some deficiencies in spending or you've got some debts, man, you don't need me to patronize you. You know what the hell needs work. Jesus Christ, work on them. I can provide a little dab of motivation, but I will go out on a limb and say the sad part about the thing is that a lot of people don't want to take those few steps, and they'll come back to me and they'll say, Ryan, it's easy for you to say, you can't relate with my situation. Bullshit. I can relate with your situation. I used to be there. I used to get my banking out of an envelope in my dresser. Okay, that's where I started from. So yes, it does entitle me to sit across from you and say, if you do in fact want to change, it's all mental. It has really very little to do with the physical aspect, because the physical nature is you don't have to take such a large chunk out of your problem right away. You don't have to lose weight overnight. You don't have to change your spiritual approach to life overnight. You don't have to do that. Just take little chunks out of it. And the challenge is that each and every one of our deficiencies can be worked on, but that's when you kind of get into the unique and individualized aspect of this. And that's what I hope, is that it churns a little bit of self-reflection, because I'm not going to have all the answers for you. Okay. And I've got news for you. Most YouTube creators, they don't have all the answers for you either. Just a little tidbit. Okay. Most, if not all, okay, are just regular people. They're just regular people. Okay. If you just want a little secret, I'll throw that out there. All right. So I would highly recommend that the number one person on your list to trust is yourself. All right. And hopefully we foster some of that discussion on the Independent Investor channel. Certainly. All right. We got Dividend Driver James. Very cool, man. Great to see you, my friend. Great to see you pop in here. Hidden Freedom as well in the thread. Very cool. Appreciate WW34. It's great. It is great. I just love to see those renderings, man. The success is great. Now, the ironic part about the whole thing is to understand what the potential is going forward, right? That's the mindset, is once you start to see that success, it starts to become a little bit addicting, okay, in a good way. All right. Listen, guys, life should be addicting. All the good things in life should be addicting. It really should. There's a lot of addictions in this life that you can absolutely get addicted to, and it's all good. It's all good, man. It really is. So very cool. I want to cruise on down the thread here. Kyle, I see you there, man. If you're dialed in, give me a thumbs up and you're ready to go. Very cool. Thank you. I'm going to cruise down the thread here and see what we've got. All right. But I'm not sure. Here we go. Thank you for what you do. It's my pleasure. YouTube does most of the work, to be honest with you. This is not work, okay? YouTube is actually fun. I think the majority of us content creators do, in fact, enjoy this craft at least a little bit. And I think most of us are wired a little different to actually have the initiative to come on here and consistently provide content to you folks. And, YouTube does most of the work, that's for sure. But thank you for that. I really do appreciate it. I'm working down here. I'm going to try to get to some of these. I'm going to pull Kyle in here, and that'll allow me to kind of monitor the thread here a little bit and pull some of these folks up here. All right. So without further ado, I'll bring Kyle. Kyle, how are you, man, up there? How's it going? You got
living the dream, brother. Finally getting out of the
Living the
house. What
dream.
can I say?
It's that
Yeah,
good.
I'm
I
working
know.
on
I had some sunshine the other
I
day.
don't know my wallet. Trying not to burn the house down. I'm working on some other stuff right now. Going
I
back
love
down the
it,
Magic
man.
Road.
I love it. See, you throw that down, and my ticker goes up. Boom, boom, boom. People, like there it is, man. There's that 2 seconds that YouTube is looking for to be entertaining. It's awesome, man.
Yeah, I figured I'd get out a little bit. I had to jump on JMax, but I'm testing out the Wi-Fi somewhere else here. So you're going to be my little test experiment before we go live a bit later.
Gotcha.
But I hope your evening's well, man. It's been a great stream so far. I've been
Thank
really
you.
enjoying it. It's been an interesting week altogether. I think this is the first week I barely looked at my stock portfolio, but it's still holding up into those highs.
Yeah.
Getting a lot of interesting phone calls too, and I wouldn't mind getting your opinion on this, considering
Sure.
J-SPAC is becoming the big spec player these days. I've had some really interesting phone calls. I can't get over. I guess finally, once your YouTube channel breaches out into kind of more public domain, it's been interesting to see some of the personal phone calls I've been doing with people. And
Good.
I was having this really interesting conversation with this real estate mogul lady. Really interesting because she was interested in the airlines and she was asking me all these questions about stocks, but she seems way more knowledgeable on real estate than stocks. And I kind of went down this interesting path that I talked about actually in today's video as well, about easy money in the market. And for some reason, people think Nikola and all these other spec plays are the easy money. And I have to keep hounding people that, like, why are you wasting your time on airlines? Why are you looking at Carnival Cruise? Like, go look at Clorox, Pepsi. And then I had a guy call me out and say, your picks are boring. And I said, do you want to make money? I'm like, it's where all the money's going.
I just
don't
think
think there's
the power of the
I don't know.
stock market, man, it cannot be overstated. And I think the allure of making money, there's one thing that we have in common across this entire content creator group is that we've probably all found in a lot of different facets success in the stock market. Like, we don't get together and intently dive into this conversation, at least every Friday for me. I don't provide content because I think this is freaking boring. I completely disagree with that sentiment. With that said, I've been doing this a long, long time. And I think there is a lot of value in discipline. And I don't look at my portfolio and expect it to give me a back massage. Okay. I don't expect it to flash fire at me.
I think people do.
Well, you're exactly right. And the question becomes, is that okay? Is that an okay approach? Is that level of distraction that you're spending your time on that type of thought taking you away from perhaps maybe more of a value side? Now, if it's in line with your tolerance, great. But don't lose money and come back and cry to me, because you'll get no sympathy from me. Zero. None. You will not. Because I've done nothing outside of, for 3 years, telling people, be disciplined, right? Be disciplined. Because I've been through those swoons. I've got caught up in that, like, hey, you can kind of leverage it. And sometimes it works out. And sometimes that can be the worst thing that can happen. I've said this many, many times. And you're like, dude, I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's like, I've got news for you, man. You're not the first person to think about this. Like, oh my God, I'm so good at the stock market. I never have to work another day in my life. I don't share in that sentiment. I think the stock market has to be approached in a way that can set you up to find that financial security that you're setting yourself up for in the future. And if you want to go the zigzag route by getting on every single bandwagon of every single proposal, of every single opportunity, and every single ARK ETF that's out there for the last 2 months or the next 2 months or the next 6 months or year, go ahead and do it. It may actually work out for you.
That's true.
It may. I bid you all the success in the world. I really do. But again, there's a flip side of that coin, Kyle, right? You got to control the level of exposure to risk. You have to.
Yeah, I think people take that route far, far too often. And I think it's just people don't want the market to be as boring as it is. And I just keep telling people, I'm like, there's nothing wrong with swing trading, day trading. If it works for you, you're successful at it. I mean, keep doing it. I'm not going to tell you to stop. But at the end of the day, find me a billionaire that said they made their money swing trading, taking on, you know, I mean, they all kind of went down their different paths. If you want to watch an interesting video, Kevin O'Leary actually just released a video explaining how he made his first $1 million. And I think it was so inspiring because I'm like, that's how money gets made, not, you know, focusing every day on spec plays and what's going to go up 100% and double your $2,000 investment, because God knows you don't have the guts to be throwing down 100K on something like a Nikola right now. So, I mean, if you can capture a little bit of fruit off of it, I mean, all the power to you, but you need to be focusing your mind on things also beyond the stock market, right? And kind of,
I think in all defense, right? So, you know, in all defense of JMac, right, who's just found a niche on YouTube.
That works.
So kudos as far as that goes. Now, here's the other side of that. And I've said this many, many times, right? I'm very, very careful with my language, because you might say over and over and over again, hey, look, I may or may not own this stock. I may own it, but I own it with extreme scale. It's an extremely speculative play. You want to know how much people hear that are just looking for action in the stock market? They hear it nil. They don't hear a freaking word that's said. And I know Jason's putting that out there, right? And I would certainly never fall. I mean, listen, you find a niche, man, you go for it. This is part of the advice that I give people who hit me up all the time. They're like, Ryan, how do I do this gig, man? You know, and I'm probably a bad guy to be given the advice, because I sure as hell haven't figured out
not at all
yet. but that's also not really part of my strategy. Like, I don't create my content. I knew the thrift savings plan video wasn't going to do good. Does that prohibit me from putting it out and helping the hundreds of people that video will help? And of course not. So I approach this project in my own unique way. Does that mean that it's the most successful way? Whatever the hell that means, I don't really care. But you know, you're right. You got to be careful. You know, it can go south on you. I saw this with Jeremy right away when he first started doing YouTube, right, with GoPro, and he liked what he saw, and people were just freaking in it, man. They were in it. And for all the people that rode that son of a gun down to nothing with him, you'll never hear
still at $4.
You'll never hear
I
those.
still check on it. Yeah.
You'll never hear those stories. Never, because that's very embarrassing for somebody to realize the error of their ways. And you do eventually. You're like, damn, that this not only went to zero, but now there's lawsuits on it, and I'm having to send paperwork in to just prove how stupid I was to enter into that position. Now, nobody's stupid if it ends up tripling or quadrupling or being a four-banger, right? A multi-bagger. Everybody thinks they're the smartest thing since, you know, the best stock investor ever when that happens. And the amazing part is there's potential for that in the market. It's powerful. The question is, do you want to play ball? That's it.
Yeah, I think I love the way JMac kind of approaches it, though, because he does it in a sense that seems more thought out and less based on technical fundamentals. I like approaching the spec plays with some kind of understanding of the underlying assets.
So I separate Jason's message from the comments, right? You go down and read the comments, and it's really interesting to see how that message is perceived. Right. I'll leave that rhetorical statement out there, you know, and I come back to that. I've always said this, and I've told this to Jeremy specifically. That's why he doesn't like me. There is an inherent level of responsibility, and perhaps maybe it's harder to see when you don't have as much experience as me in investing. There is an inherent responsibility that you have to maybe acknowledge how your message is being received.
100%.
That's my opinion. Doesn't mean I'm right.
I think it's a good opinion to have, because again, man, people don't. Like I said, I always find it so odd that it doesn't matter the age of the person, how long they've been in the market, kind of their understanding of it, but like we're always so naturally drawn to that spec aspect of it. And people, like I said, I've never had so many interesting phone calls this week, because it's not just 20-year-olds I'm talking to anymore. It's people that are worth tens of millions of dollars, and they have the same mental path of like, you know, I want airlines, I want exposure to, and I'm like, why? What's the logic other than you think it's going to rebound to some degree? But I'm like, where is the underlying fundamental? Like, what have you learned about the airlines that makes you think they're worth investing in? And then she was telling me, well, she owned Transat before and it's down majorly. She wants to cost average down. And I'm like, look, I'm like, I can't tell you based on your exposure, because obviously you're primarily real estate. So this might be more of a game for you. Like there's nothing wrong with leveraging down, but finish your exposure, leverage it down, and just don't look at it again. Because I'm like, there's no way those positions, though they might come back on hype based when the economy reopens up, but they're not coming back on the balance sheet for the next 3 to 5 years. I mean, the money they've burnt, like there's no way that cash flow is coming back anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you the most aggressive aspect in my portfolio. I disclose on a pretty regular schedule. My 12 aggressive growth stock portfolio. That's about as aggressive as I'm invested right now. Everything else that I disclose through the passive ETFs that I own and the dividend growth stocks and the TSP that I just rolled out to give some people some insight on that aspect and how that drives some of my other decisions. See, I'm not one of those investors that believe just because you're a dividend stock investor that doesn't carry risk. It does.
Yeah.
Single stock investing carries risk. And
I think
argue with me all they want. I'm right.
People keep forgetting too, right? when you get paid out dividends, that company still has to have more people buying the shares, because if they don't, the dividend can just eat through your capital. Sure, they're not, you're not losing shares, but you're losing share value. And people overlook that so much, that if a company can't keep turning over stock and it dries up, but they keep paying dividends, you could see your capital get eaten away if they're not putting some of that back in the bank. And a lot of places like REITs are heavily exposed to that nature. Anytime you see a high yield, the big concern is, could that eat through your entire capital, your capital gains over time? It's just a lot of other stuff people overlook. But I better, I'm running out of time. I better go catch good old Matt Money.
Thanks for popping in, man. It was fun. Thanks for the magic trick, man. I'll sit.
I got cuffs. I got all kinds of stuff. We were planning a little bit of a magic show this evening, and I'm like, I can't give it all away on your channel. Hopefully,
if I can catch a few moments, Kyle, I will, man. But I gotta work tomorrow, man. So I'm actually against the grid. It's something else, man. Great.
Yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good, man. I just appreciate how humbling you are. The fact that you always let me on. I always appreciate coming on. I wish we could get more people. I'm only coming on to see if it motivates other people to come on. Because it'd be such a nice conversation if we got 127 people in here. Come on, guys.
Sure.
Get involved.
I think it's like a diesel engine. I think they get warmed up by the time they get to you guys. That's what I think, maybe. That's all right too. Hey, one investor at a time, man. I think we're 100%. Churning, and this thing is going in the right direction. The momentum, I'm all about the momentum. However slow or fast the momentum wants to roll, I'm okay as long as it's going forward. That's simple.
Totally agree. And so long as we're not putting anybody down, because at the end of the day, we're all in the same game, right? It's even if you don't pick the best stocks, I mean, we're here to help you through that as well and try and get you in the right path. But stay cool, man.
You too, brother. Take it easy. Enjoy the show. Have a great live stream, man.
Cheers, guys.
Yep. So for you guys that don't know, Matt and Kyle, they hop on after I'm done at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and they usually go for about 12 and a half hours. So you guys can catch that show. Usually they go until one of them falls out of their chair. So basically it's kind of like a drinking game without drinking. They talk personal finance and stock and everything else under the sun. So if you guys want to kick over and hit that, really, that's our opportunity through the community to bogart this 2.5 hour. And in all actuality, those guys, they're doing a great job. I think it provides more of a dynamic message to the group as well. And I know I kick on there just a bit after. It takes me a little bit because there's a few things I've got to do when I upload the stream. But 100% support for their mission as well. I think it's helping them, and it is helping me. I can tell you that right now. I just appreciate the direction of where things are going. Okay. I've got Mr. Ben, US Vet. How y'all is Cat versus Honeywell comparable? I own them both. What CO is more solid? Long term, I'm a jaded opinion with industrials. I really am, because I do own both. I do own RTX. I think 3M, that was one of the stocks that I felt like was worth looking at here, certainly long term. But I can make the long-term bullish case for any of these names. I really do. Do I think we're going to get an infrastructure bill? No, I don't. I think there's way too much gridlock right now. And I think moving into the election, I think things are going to have to remain the same with the status quo, or if there's a shakeup and things get changed, you guys know what I mean by that. Then all bets are off as far as that goes. Okay, so we'll see what happens. But if you do want infrastructure, which is kind of tied to the hip of Caterpillar, that's great. I think Caterpillar is just one of those companies that you can just buy and hold forever. I think you're fine doing that. There's some negative sentiment surrounding Caterpillar right now on the street. Very interesting. I'm not one to share in that sentiment. I'm a bull. I had somebody come through the channel and had me take a look at Cummins. I agree. I think Cummins is another one that belongs in this conversation. Certainly some of the Tesla folks and the electronic, and the battery powered initiative and being on the front side of that wave may disagree with that assessment. But I think there's always going to be a place for old school power. And Cummins is certainly at the top of the game right there for sure. But I like both of them. I own them both, along with all the other ones that I mentioned as well. So thanks for the question, Ben. I hope all's well out there in the Sunshine State, man. Very cool. Actually, the sunny state of California. I think Florida's the Sunshine State. Ryan Giffen would probably clobber me if he heard me say that. I prefer risk of investing because not taking risk is a guaranteed loss for sure, man. And nothing but kudos for Ryan. Ryan's incredible, man. Business owner, and he invests the way that he approaches, and it makes sense for him, for sure. So I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. I just, I can quantify the level of risk that I have with my $400,000, almost approaching $500,000 of exposure to the market. And I justify my risk in each of the categories, i.e. the accounts that I have, and I'm satisfied with that. It makes sense for me. I'm not saying that it makes sense for everybody else. The trick in this gig is to find out what makes sense for you. That's the key takeaway from all this, man. You got to figure out what's going to work for you. And I tell you what, if this thing starts to consume you, you need to recheck, recalibrate, readdress, reapply, and go at it again. Okay. Don't let this thing consume you, because it can be pretty consuming of a project. Okay. Again, I took a leap, 250 shares. Wow. LD. If it doesn't pan out, everyone gets coal at Christmas. Sure. That's good. I don't cover the stock, so I don't have an opinion about it. If somebody has something for Hulen Bryant, Miss Bryant is awesome. She's in every single Friday. She's in my Facebook group. Fantastic. It's just great to see you. Thank you so much for the support. Good luck with the holding. I don't like coal for Christmas, so I hope it works out well for you. Again, just in the camp of wanting to see success for everybody. It's just kind of surprising to me sometimes how people do, in fact, justify taking their exposure to risk. It's mind-boggling to somebody like myself, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, but to each his own, that's for sure. New York investor, it's a marathon, not a race. I thought you were recommending Marathon Petroleum. Looks pretty attractive here at $40, I will say, for sure. That's good stuff. He says he likes Ryan. That's good. Thank you, Jay. Appreciate. Goat stock, laugh out loud. I'm just cruising through. I'm about halfway through the thread here. I'm going to try to get back through with this remainder, and then we'll look to close out the live stream. Certainly want to cordially invite you guys. Again, I usually get a boost on the live streams when I push everybody over to the Independent Investor. I'm on most of the podcasting platforms, so please show your support there, support in way of time, and catch a podcast. See if it suits your fancy. Take the wallet test with me. I thought that was a pretty interesting product. I listened to it back and I was like, okay, that's a product I can get behind. I hope it makes a difference. I really do. But Independent Investor on Anchor or Spotify as well, on a number of others, Apple Podcast as well. You can find me very simple. I'm probably the only independent investor out there on the landscape. At least I've checked. So I have such a unique name. I typically run that thing to the ground. So if you search that, you're going to find me. Also, don't forget the website, independentinvestorchannel.com. definitely keeping live there. So if you want to cover the live stream or the podcast there, you can definitely do that. And, just a lot of different social media platforms. The Facebook group is growing as I would expect it to grow, as well as the independent investor channel on YouTube is really growing quite well. I can't complain. There's a ton of people that are sharing the message. I think I probably get a heck of a lot more love through the channel that I do from Google, and that's fine. I don't need to marry a robot. I would rather trust the relationships of the group to share my message. And if you don't want to share the message, then I don't want you to share it. It's that simple. All right. Bring the family and friends on and have them get introduced to the stock market for the first time. It can be quite life-changing. It's a lot of fun. All right. So we were just talking about Exxon Mobil with Randy with options as well. And Randy just started rolling out, I failed to mention at the top of the live stream, Thursday night, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard, probably more of an advanced course for options. And then Saturday morning at 10 a.m. as well. He's super active on Twitter. So if you guys want to kick over and subscribe, he's been helping me, came on before the stream and ran me through options 101. Actually, he ran me through like options 1. You get the joke? It's kind of funny. Not really. But anyway, it was a good lesson. Randy's doing some good things. Kick over. We want to help him support his message as well. Randy's part of the family here and doing some great things on a craft that I don't understand very well. And kudos to him. But my thoughts on Exxon Mobil, I own 107 shares here. It's been a drastic underperformer for the last few years. It unfortunately resides in one of my favorite sectors. I know I say that about all the sectors, but really, energy is very intriguing, but energy is just on an absolute headwind of a problem right now. Energy has just been really decimated. It's been very bad. With that said, I think the two majors I like Chevron better. I like their commitment to the dividend, but both of these companies are really well run. I just saw something come through Twitter that Matt Money shared about them opening up, and that was one of my main reasons actually for taking the large position that I did. I think Guyana is opening back up, which is going to be a really great payoff for Exxon Mobil. So I've owned these stocks the whole time, and I don't mind owning them. I didn't mind owning them at 75.80. So I'll let you answer, is it worth taking a shot out here at 45? Now, don't get crazy. Don't sell the farm, okay? But if you need a little energy exposure, why not look at the two big ones, Chevron and Exxon, right? So hopefully that helps you, Rusty. Thanks for the question. I really appreciate it, man. So we got a couple minutes left here, and I'm just going to go down until the last minute. Very cool. Says, thanks for sharing. Hey, if it's useful, it's only useful if you put it to work, okay? I know this stuff works. I know it works for me. And that's why I do this channel, to provide that transparency for you guys. But I really insist to take it to that next level. If you guys are going to put this stuff to work, it has to work for you. All right. The non-success is not an option in this group. It's not an option. We don't fear success. We embrace it. We go so far as to expect it. Okay. So expect it. Remember the buffet? Very cool. Assault Life, BBY. Very cool. Thank you. Minds in Motion in the house. Very cool. We're getting close here, guys. Very cool. Want to make sure. Got a Medtronic here. That's good. Medical device provider, non-invasive procedures. They're in 4 segments as well. Medtronic's a beast. 128 billion in market cap. It's a great company. Well run. Good balance sheet. Everything's good. Payout ratio acceptable. You're gonna have to pay up for the stock. I think it's at 23 times right now. So just, got to be careful a little bit. I disclosed that on the stocks to buy. So very cool. Minds and Motions, giving some props, man. Appreciate that. Very cool. All right, guys. With that said, I think we're about ready to wrap it up. Remember, tomorrow I've got a live stream with Mr. David Oldenburg. We will change the channel. We will flip the script on this. and we will be rolling out real estate. Okay. We're going to be talking everything from freaking down payments to for sale by owner. Dave's going to be given some of his strategies, some of the things that he feels like from a timing perspective. If you haven't figured it out and you're just now waking up to this fact, we are at 0% interest rates. What does that mean for you? If you're a first-time home buyer, you're not going to want to miss it. And I'm not saying you come on and listen to me rap about real estate. Come on and allow me to facilitate this discussion with somebody who in the industry has over 3 decades of experience, man. I look forward to that. That's going to be a real treat for me to kick on and wrap with David. We'll be throwing down tomorrow at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I'm fairly certain, I'm sure of that. So 1 hour before the normal 9 o'clock. Okay. So just check the thumbnail. I believe we're throwing down at 8 o'clock on the dot. That's to help him on the West Coast, throwing down at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, guys. Thank you so much to all the support. I'm going to sign off. Those guys have already kicked over on the next live stream. We're going to roll right into that and continue to foster the discussion for you guys that want to keep it real, keep it right, keep your perspective, keep your defensive positioning in check, guys, and live to fight another day. We want to set ourselves up for future, okay, future goals, future financial security, all right? Make it as straight a line as you possibly can. You'll be so, so glad you did. You really will. We'll catch you next week on the next week's Friday live stream, guys. Thank you so much and have a great, great rest of the weekend. Cheers, guys.